I was taken by surprise when I found out I would be attending my mom's birthday party that evening. To be honest, my intention was to swing by for just an hour, wish you a happy birthday, and then head out to catch up with some friends afterwards. However, similar to many aspects of my life, it didn't unfold as I had envisioned. The gathering was intimate. My mother, Regina, extended an invitation to a select group of her dear friends and colleagues. She possessed a unique talent for transforming every moment into something extraordinary, even if it was merely an ordinary dinner. We had spent the entire evening engaged in conversation and laughter, yet, to be frank, I wasn't truly feeling it. This week at work had been less than ideal, leaving me feeling somewhat out of sorts. It was at that moment I encountered her for the first time, Vanessa. Vanessa was a colleague of my mother's from her workplace. Though she was in her early 40s, one might easily mistake her age. She exuded a vibrant energy, as if she could easily be mistaken for someone in their 30s. My attention was captured the moment she entered the kitchen. I recall finding her stunning, yet I swiftly dismissed the thought. She was merely another acquaintance of my mother's, in the end. Nothing extraordinary, yet as the evening progressed, I found myself captivated by how seamlessly she blended into the dialogue. She may not have been the most boisterous presence in the room, yet there was an undeniable quiet confidence that radiated from her. She possessed a sharp wit and a clever mind, and despite her long-standing friendship with my mom, she seemed to bring a fresh energy to the group, adding a layer of intrigue to our gatherings. For reasons I can't quite articulate, I felt an undeniable pull towards her. She had an aura that set her apart from the typical crowd my mom associated with. Perhaps it was the manner in which she held herself, or the way she appeared to truly engage when others shared their thoughts. The evening unfolded. My mom was engaged in conversation with some of her old friends, while I found myself quietly sipping my drink, hoping to steer clear of any uncomfortable exchanges. Suddenly, Vanessa and I found ourselves by the snacks. "So, Kyle," she said, catching me off guard. "What is your profession?" "My mother seldom brings it up." I let out a soft laugh. "Oh, I'm in the tech field. Nothing particularly thrilling, just addressing issues and ensuring everything operates seamlessly. Not particularly exciting material." Vanessa beamed, her eyes sparkling with joy. "It seems you have a knack for it, indeed. The work holds significant value, even if it often goes unnoticed by others." I shrugged, uncertain of how to reply. It was a laid-back conversation, yet somehow, I sensed a connection forming that took me by surprise. She stood out, not merely engaging in the typical exchange of pleasantries. Our conversation stretched on far beyond what I had planned. She had a way about her that made it easy to be comfortable in silence. It seemed effortless. Simple. We discussed our careers, shared thoughts on life overall, and eventually found ourselves delving into the topic of relationships. She nonchalantly noted that she had been unattached for some time. "Honestly," she chuckled, "I've experienced my share of less than stellar relationships, so I'm just taking some time for myself. Perhaps I'll encounter someone in due time, but it's uncertain." I recall pondering, how is it possible that someone like her remains unattached? She possessed charm, intelligence, and a vibrant personality. I found it puzzling, yet I chose to remain silent about it. I simply nodded in agreement, avoiding any potential awkwardness in the conversation. Later that evening, my mom had everyone share their numbers to stay connected, and for some reason, I found myself exchanging numbers with Vanessa as well. Initially, it felt somewhat odd, yet it appeared to be innocuous. A laid-back, warm gesture, and just like that, the evening came to an end. As the farewells began to echo around me, I was on the verge of stepping away when my mom gently took me aside. "Text, you know, Vanessa doesn't visit here frequently, but I believe she'd appreciate it if you reached out to her," she said with a playful wink. At the moment, it seemed like just another fleeting remark, but as I departed the gathering, an unsettling sense lingered, suggesting that the night held a unique significance. A realization had dawned. An unshakable intuition stirred within me, hinting that I would soon be hearing from Vanessa once more, though the nature of it remained a mystery. Unbeknownst to me, that evening marked the onset of an experience I was ill-equipped to handle. Several days have gone by since the celebration of the birthday. Initially, I didn't give much thought to my meeting with Vanessa. It was merely a casual exchange, wasn't it? We were just two individuals engaged in conversation at a gathering, nothing particularly remarkable. Yet, as I pondered further, it became increasingly clear that a change had occurred. It transcended the typical casual conversation. A sense of connection lingered in the air, an unspoken bond that left me pondering its true meaning. Yet, I cast it aside, persuading myself that it was insignificant. I admit my mistake. One evening, after wrapping up some tasks, I found myself scrolling through my phone, looking to pass the time. That was the moment I laid my eyes on it. A communication from an unknown source. My heart raced, and I immediately knew what it was. It came from Vanessa. "Hello Kyle, I trust you are doing well. I wanted to share a quick photo I captured yesterday. I thought you might appreciate it." I gaze at the message, momentarily at a loss for words. Is there a picture? I pondered. What could be the reason for her to send me a photo? We had swapped numbers at the party, certainly, but I didn't anticipate her contacting me so quickly. I clicked on the message, a blend of intrigue and wariness coursing through me. And there it stood. An image of her. She found herself in a quaint little cafe, where the lighting enveloped the space in a gentle glow, and the chairs exuded a delightful sense of nostalgia. She cradled a coffee cup, her gaze directed downward, as if she were deep in contemplation. It was an unguarded moment, devoid of any posed expressions or artificial grins, simply a genuine capture. And yet, it possessed an undeniable allure. Her relaxed appearance was just right, with her hair cascading effortlessly around her shoulders, and a faint, almost insightful smile danced on her lips. Initially, I found myself uncertain about how to interpret it. It was merely an image, wasn't it? No need for excessive contemplation. Yet, upon revisiting it, a realization dawned on me. I realized I was delving into it more than necessary. Her expression conveyed more than mere friendliness. Something profound lingered beneath the surface. There was a nuance to it, a feeling that I could perceive. It felt as though her gaze pierced through the stillness of the image, connecting with me in a way that transcended the mere confines of a photograph. I shook my head, striving to concentrate. All right, it's merely a casual picture. I took a moment to reflect. She's simply being kind. I had to refrain from delving deeper. Yet my mind was a whirlwind, and I found myself pondering endlessly. What was the reason behind her sending this to me? I swiftly crafted a reply, aiming for a laid-back tone while avoiding any hint of excessive curiosity. What an incredible image. I appreciate you sharing that. You look fantastic. Clear and direct. There's no reason to overcomplicate matters. I set my phone aside for a brief moment, hoping that perhaps this would mark the conclusion of it all. Yet, scarcely a minute had passed when my phone vibrated once more. I picked it up and noticed her response. I'm pleased to hear that. I felt compelled to share this with you, as you strike me as a person who values the small details in life. I feel a sense of pride in the final result. Her message carried a breezy, relaxed vibe, yet there was an intriguing quality in her choice of words. You appeared to be a person who values the small details in life. It felt more significant than a mere passing remark. Her words carried an undertone that suggested she was revealing more than she intended. I gazed at the message, attempting to comprehend its meaning. Was this truly only about the image? Or was there a more profound meaning? Perhaps her actions were simply an expression of kindness. Perhaps she didn't give it a second thought. Yet, I couldn't shake the sense that there was a purpose lurking beneath the surface. In the days that followed, our messages kept flowing back and forth. Initially, it began with casual conversation. Relaxed catch-ups, easy chats about everyday experiences, careers, and interests. Yet, it seemed to carry more weight than the usual exchanges I experienced. Being with Vanessa brought a sense of ease and comfort. We discussed our beloved books, music, and the various challenges that accompany life in our 30s. With each encounter, she revealed a little more of herself, and I discovered I was following suit. Suddenly, she sent another message that completely caught me off guard. "Hey Kyle, I was considering that we could catch up over a drink, just the two of us." My heart raced with excitement. I found myself at a loss for how to respond. I was truly taken aback. We'd been messaging for some time, but the thought of finally getting together, just the two of us, seemed to carry a different weight. A wave of nervousness washed over me. Was this merely a casual gathering, or was there a deeper significance to it? I was at a loss for words initially. A part of me yearned to respond with an immediate yes. She possessed intelligence, a great sense of humor, and was undoubtedly someone capable of engaging in conversation without any hint of discomfort. Yet, a different part of me paused, recalling that she was a friend of my mother. That added a layer of complexity. After a moment of contemplation, I replied to the message. "Absolutely, that sounds wonderful. Just give me a shout when you have some time." In that moment, I realized everything was on the brink of transformation. We had crossed a boundary, a minor one, yet it was sufficient to cast a shadow of doubt over everything. Uncertainty loomed as I embarked on this journey, yet an instinct whispered that I was on the brink of an unexpected beginning. Reflecting on the past, I came to understand that image marked a pivotal moment. It transcended a mere snapshot. It served as a clear indication. And I found myself glancing back, realizing that my life was on the brink of an unforeseen turn. As the days unfolded, an unusual sense of anticipation began to swell within me. Following Vanessa's message, my mind was consumed with thoughts of our impending gathering. A subtle change seemed to occur between us. A quiet tension that hovered just out of reach. I attempted to maintain my composure, to follow my usual schedule, yet each time I reached for my phone, I found myself questioning whether another message from her awaited me. The long-anticipated day of our meeting had finally come. It wasn't an elaborate scheme, merely a straightforward drink at a nearby bar, a laid-back affair, yet the palpable tension in the atmosphere imbued it with a sense of significance far beyond its simplicity. I recall feeling a sense of unease that evening. I was attempting to choose the perfect ensemble, one that would convey a sense of ease while still appearing polished. I aimed for a balance, not wanting to appear overly eager while also avoiding the impression of being too casual. I opted for a dark shirt and jeans, my standard choice. I aimed to exude confidence, yet the anxiety was creeping in. As I entered the bar, I spotted Vanessa already seated inside. She sat at a table by the window, her back turned to the door, leisurely sipping her drink. She resembled her image in the photograph perfectly. Calm and effortless, yet in reality, there was an even more captivating quality about her. Her smile when she saw me eased the tension in my chest, if only slightly. "Hey Kyle," she said, rising to her feet and enveloping me in a comforting embrace. "I'm thrilled you were able to join us." I returned the smile, attempting to dispel the fluttering in my stomach. "Absolutely, without a doubt. I'm thrilled we finally had the opportunity to make this happen." We settled in, placed our drink orders, and for the initial moments, the dialogue flowed easily. We discussed work, life, the typical topics, yet there was an unmistakable quality in the atmosphere that felt unique. The vibe between us transcended mere friendship. It felt as though we were both navigating the complexities of what was unfolding between us. Each time our gazes intertwined, a silent comprehension lingered between us. It was clear to us that this had transcended the realm of a simple drink. A change had occurred since those initial discussions. As the night unfolded, the dialogue began to take on a more profound quality. Vanessa opened up about her life, discussing her time spent single, reflecting on her past relationships that hadn't succeeded, and how she had embraced the reality of solitude. I paid close attention, truly intrigued, yet I couldn't help but observe her eyes darting toward me occasionally. It wasn't merely the manner of her speech. Her gaze was captivating, holding me in its spell. I discovered that I was engaging in the same behavior. I was powerless to resist. She possessed an undeniable allure. She possessed a beauty that transcended the ordinary. She possessed a sharp intellect, a delightful sense of humor, and an effortless conversational charm. Each moment of laughter we shared ignited a feeling within me that was impossible to overlook. Yet, I had to keep in mind that she was a friend of my mother. This had already crossed a boundary. At a certain moment, I reclined in my chair, seeking a bit of room to gather my thoughts. Vanessa observed, a subtle crease forming on her brow. "Is everything all right?" she inquired, her tone gentle. "Sure," I replied swiftly, attempting to conceal my inner musings. "Merely pondering, I suppose. It's somewhat dreamlike, wouldn't you agree? Spending time together like this, just the two of us." She smiled with a hint of understanding. "I understand. It may seem a little unusual, but I'm really pleased that we're engaging in this. I have a desire to understand you more deeply. You stand out from the crowd I'm familiar with." I was at a loss for words in that moment. Distinct? I find myself pondering the meaning behind her words. Yet, just as I was about to say something, she pressed on. "I'm not sure, Kyle. There's an undeniable quality about you. There's an elusive quality that I can't fully grasp, yet it undeniably exists. Engaging in conversation with you feels effortless. I find that appealing." Her words made my heart race slightly. Is she showing interest in me? I was unable to discern. Yet, as her words flowed, it became increasingly clear that this had transcended mere friendly banter. She was exposing herself in a manner that caught me off guard, prompting me to reevaluate all my assumptions about the scenario. I inhaled deeply, attempting to calm my racing thoughts. I share that sentiment. I was pleasantly surprised by how enjoyable our time together was this evening. I'm fully immersed. I never anticipated forming such a bond with her. Yet, now that we found ourselves in this moment, I couldn't ignore the undeniable connection that sparked between us. A stillness enveloped us, and for an instant, I reflected on the journey we had taken. This was more than merely a casual drink. Something deeper was unfolding, an unexpected twist I hadn't anticipated. Vanessa leaned in just a bit, her gaze both gentle and piercing. "I've been reflecting on this quite a bit, Kyle, and I wasn't quite certain how to bring it up. Who we are. And I find myself pondering if this," she paused, gazing deeply into my eyes, "might evolve into something beyond mere friendship." My heart raced, and for the first time that evening, I sensed the gravity of the situation unfolding. I found myself at a loss for words. Is this really taking place? Is she expressing what I believe she's expressing? Yet, just as I was about to reply, she softly laid her hand over mine. Though it was a simple act, it filled me with a wave of warmth. "I have feelings for you, Kyle," she murmured gently. "Beyond my expectations." A deep conviction stirred within me, insisting that this was more than a fleeting instance. This was genuine, and in that moment, I realized that the forthcoming actions would transform everything. I felt the urge to speak, yet all I could manage was to gaze at her, grappling with the tumult of feelings churning within me. I needed to exercise caution. I needed to ponder this carefully. Yet, deep down, I recognized this was a pivotal moment. This had evolved beyond a mere casual encounter. We had crossed a threshold, and now, there was no way to return. The evening following our encounter, I hardly found any rest. The vision of Vanessa's eyes lingered in my mind, refusing to fade away. Text the way she gazed at me when she confessed her feelings for me. I found myself revisiting every word she had spoken, turning them over and over in my mind. It wasn't merely the words, it was the manner in which she had expressed them. How authentic she appeared. However, I couldn't overlook the complexity of the situation. Vanessa was far from ordinary. She was a friend of my mother. Moreover, I had consistently held her in high regard, always viewing her as an integral figure in my mother's life. But now, I found myself uncertain about my feelings. I have maintained a professional demeanor with her for an extended period, striving to prevent my emotions from intertwining with anything that might disrupt the established boundaries. Yet, as I sat opposite her the other evening, I sensed that boundary begin to fade. An unexpected shift was unfolding, leaving me uncertain about whether to welcome it or retreat. The following day, I caught myself sending a message to Vanessa. It was a brief note, just a casual, "Hey, I've been reflecting on what happened last night. Perhaps we ought to delve deeper into this matter and clarify our positions." I gazed at the phone after hitting send, my thumb lingering above the screen as if time had come to a standstill. I understood that once she responded, everything would change forever. Approximately an hour later, my phone vibrated. "Indeed, it's been on my mind as well. Shall we gather once more?" "There's no rush, I'm just here to chat." The laid-back nature of it brought a sense of comfort, yet it also seemed as if we were putting on a facade, acting as though everything remained the same. Yet, everything had transformed, and I sensed the heaviness of it all. We agreed to gather again the next evening at the same bar. I arrived first, eager to be there ahead of time to gather my thoughts and brace myself for what was to come. I found myself unable to cease my restless pacing. I found myself caught in a web of excessive thoughts. How to express oneself, what actions to take, and the manner of conduct. Yet, deep down, I understood that I could no longer escape it. Upon Vanessa's arrival, she appeared breathtaking, just like always. She wore a casual outfit, yet there was an undeniable quality in her demeanor that set her apart, as if she were destined for the limelight. We shared a brief embrace, and then she took a seat. In that fleeting instant, a hush enveloped us. The atmosphere was thick with tension, an uncomfortable awkwardness lingering all around. Yet, I was aware that this moment was bound to happen. It was inevitable. With that, she began, shattering the stillness. "What are our next steps?" Her voice carried a gentle quality, yet her inquiry was unmistakably straightforward. We couldn't avoid the truth any longer, there was no denying that we had already crossed a line. I inhaled deeply, attempting to find my balance. I confessed my uncertainty. "I truly didn't see this coming. You caught me off guard, prompting me to reevaluate all my previous beliefs." Vanessa's gaze became gentle. She leaned in slightly, her eyes locked onto mine. "I'm not aiming to make things more complex, yet I can't overlook my feelings, and I believe you can't either." She was indeed correct. It was impossible to overlook. The connection was genuine, transcending mere physicality. There was an underlying connection, a pull that urged me to invest time in her, to discover the layers beyond the familiar image I had always held of her. However, I needed to recognize the truth of the circumstances. "I understand," I replied, running my fingers through my hair. "However, I must speak frankly with you. This presents quite a challenge. You are a friend of my mother. I have always held you in high regard. However, the situation has changed. I really want to get this right." Vanessa paused, her gaze dropping as if she were weighing my words with thoughtful deliberation. As she began to speak once more, her tone had softened, yet it remained imbued with a strong sense of belief. "I understand. I truly do," she remarked. "But I'm not requesting anything outlandish, Kyle. I'm curious to explore the possibilities of this journey. There's no need for us to rush into any major choices at this moment. However, I believe it is our responsibility to delve into this matter. To explore if there's anything of interest here." I sat in silence for a moment, absorbing all that she had shared. It was clear to me that she wasn't applying any pressure. She was not in a hurry to push anything forward. Yet, I could sense the gravity in her demeanor. She desired this. And a part of me desired it as well. "I'm not quite sure how to process this," I finally admitted, feeling somewhat overwhelmed. "However, I'm open to exploring what the future holds. We should exercise caution, however. We must find a way to navigate this situation while ensuring that no one is harmed." She nodded, comprehension evident in her expression. "Absolutely. Let's proceed gradually, focusing on each step as it comes. Take your time." After that, the discussion turned to a more cheerful topic. We engage in various topics, discussing work, hobbies, and snippets of casual conversation to maintain the flow of dialogue. Yet, an additional dimension had emerged in all of this. Each word carried weight. It felt as if we were twirling around a grander idea. As the night deepened, an unsettling sense lingered within me, as if everything had transformed. What began as a simple drink evolved into something far more meaningful. The inquiry at hand was no longer about our ability to make this succeed. It revolved around our approach to managing the fallout once the truth was revealed. For the first time, I sensed a readiness to embrace that step, despite the uncertainty of where it might take me. The days following the choice Vanessa and I made to delve deeper into what we had begun felt peculiar. Not in a negative sense. Yet, it stirred a thrill within me each time our eyes met. We shared countless hours, gathering at cozy cafes, exchanging messages throughout the day, and seizing every fleeting moment we could find. The connection we shared was unmistakable. Yet, in the recesses of my thoughts, the truth of our actions loomed above me like a shadowy veil. We both understood the dangers, particularly the repercussions if my mother ever discovered the truth. The thought lingered in my mind, weighing heavily on how this would impact everything. How could I meet her gaze once more, fully aware of my actions? What would unfold if she discovered that her dearest friend, a person she had relied on for years, was now the woman I was beginning to love? Yet, that was an issue to tackle down the line. At this moment, I simply wished to savor the experiences we shared. Each time Vanessa flashed a smile my way, every moment of laughter we exchanged, it allowed me to momentarily escape the weight of reality. Yet, as with all secrets, this one was destined to be revealed in due time. On a Saturday evening, everything reached its climax. As I lounged at home, seeking refuge in a film, my phone suddenly vibrated, breaking the momentary escape. The message came from Vanessa, brief yet it struck me with overwhelming force. I believe it's time we share the news with her. I fixate on the message, my heart racing with anticipation. We were both aware that this moment was inevitable. The more time we spent concealing this, the more difficult it would become to maintain the facade. Yet, I found myself unprepared. I was at a loss for how to tackle the situation, unsure of how to convey to my mom what was really going on. Yet, beneath it all, I recognized that Vanessa had a point. We could no longer deceive ourselves. We could no longer deny the reality of the situation. I replied with a message. Absolutely, I see your point, but I'm unsure where to begin. Vanessa responded promptly. We'll navigate this journey side by side. That evening, rest eluded me. Thoughts raced through my mind, envisioning every possible scenario and all the things my mom might express. I attempted to reassure myself that all would turn out well, yet beneath the surface, I understood there was no simple way to express this. The following day, I informed Vanessa that I was prepared. We chose to gather at my mother's home. The moment had arrived to confront the reality of the situation. As I entered the house, I found my mom comfortably settled in the living room, enjoying her coffee. She glanced up as I walked in, offering me that comforting, recognizable smile. Yet, I sensed a change in the air. Perhaps she sensed the strain in my stance or the manner in which I was steering clear of her gaze. Vanessa was already seated beside her, and I could sense the anxious energy radiating from her as she stole a glance in my direction. This was occurring. Mom, I started, my voice trembling. I have something important to share with you. She arched an eyebrow, placing her coffee cup on the table. What's happening, Kyle? Your expression suggests you've encountered something quite unsettling. I inhaled deeply. I find it difficult to express this, but Vanessa and I have been spending time together. The words lingered, and for an instant, silence enveloped the scene. At first, my mom's face remained unchanged, yet the surprise in her eyes was unmistakable. She cast a glance at Vanessa before turning her gaze back to me. The silence lingered, oppressive and heavy. Excuse me, could you clarify that? My mother's voice was soft, nearly a murmur. What about you and Vanessa? I nodded, my gaze averted from hers. Indeed, I understand it's intricate, yet it holds truth. We've been sharing moments, and emotions have blossomed between us. The atmosphere in the room was palpable, heavy like a dense mist. My mother glanced back and forth between us, her expression one of disbelief at what she was hearing. Vanessa sat motionless, her hands tightly clasped in her lap. I never intended to cause you pain, I murmured softly, but my feelings for her run deep, and I struggled to find the right words to share with you. My mother exhaled deeply, her gaze fixed on the ground. For what seemed like an eternity, she remained silent. It was hard to decipher whether she felt anger, pain, or simply bewilderment. At last, she found her voice. I'm not sure how to express this, Kyle, she said softly, her voice trembling slightly. This took me by surprise. I once considered Vanessa merely a friend, but now I'm uncertain. There's much to contemplate. A knot twisted in my stomach. I knew it wouldn't be simple, yet the weight of my mom's suffering hit me harder than I anticipated. Vanessa finally found her voice, soft yet resolute. Regina, I have deep feelings for your son. This was not part of our design, yet here we are, facing the truth of it. I trust that you can see my perspective on this. My mother nodded, her face remaining a mystery. I assure you, Kyle, I am not upset. I simply require some time to reflect. This feels overwhelming for me. I see what you mean, I replied. Feel free to take as long as you require. It was never my intention to cause you pain. We lingered in the stillness for a few moments, the quiet enveloping us like a heavy fog. I felt the urge to elaborate, to clarify, yet deep down, I understood that there were no further words to convey. My mom required some distance. Everyone participated. Following a prolonged, charged silence, my mother rose to her feet and approached Vanessa. She rested a hand on her shoulder, gazing at her with an unexpected tenderness. Listen, my mother stated, her tone unwavering. I may not completely grasp this, but my love for my son is unwavering, and my greatest wish is for his happiness. If you bring him joy, I'll do my best to back that up, but I require some time. Vanessa gave a slight nod. I fully comprehend, and I assure you, my feelings for him are profound. It wasn't flawless. It may not have been the outcome I envisioned, yet it marked the beginning of something new. My mom faced pain, yet she was open to giving it a shot, and that was everything I could hope for. Ultimately, Vanessa and I remained united. We moved at a measured pace, yet with each day that went by, the connection between us deepened. My mom and I never addressed it again directly, but I sensed she was reconciling with it, and as time passed, things started to calm down. It was a challenge, yet truly valuable things rarely come without effort. In that moment, I realized the authenticity of what Vanessa and I had together. The path before me remained unclear, yet for the first time in ages, a sense of tranquility washed over me. We had navigated the toughest challenges, and now, we stood poised to create something fresh together.